Since I began playing badminton again, I've been wondering, do badminton rackets really make a difference to our game, or is it just marketing BS? Of course, if we compare your typical Yonex racket with a standard 2-for-1 set, there's a difference. But what about between typical Yonex beginner rackets or intermediate rackets? My alarm bells immediately go off, because if we can just pay money to improve our game, why wouldn't we do it? It's not even that much money. And wouldn't we all just do that? And wouldn't that just level the playing field? Over the past few years, I've been testing a bunch of badminton rackets and thinking about this, and I've actually found that, as controversial as it might seem, some badminton rackets did help improve my game. It just wasn't in the way I was expecting, and not in the way I imagine Yonex or other brands would prefer it to be. Let's start from the beginning, but first check out the t-shirts. I'll leave a link below. 3 years ago, after more than 15 years away from the court, I began my second badminton career playing doubles around the high beginner level. I replaced my 2-for-1 racket set with a $75-ish racket from Decathlon's Peerfly brand. I did what many of us do and just bought one based on price, thinking that the more I pay, the better racket I'll get, without really thinking about what would be better. So I found myself with a super powerful, head-heavy racket for singles players way above my level. I didn't really consider how heavy it was or any of those other details, but what stuck with me was that feeling of a good power smash. It would feel so amazing on those rare occasions when I would hit the shuttle just right and it would hammer in the floor. Because my technique generally wasn't good, and so at least with that thing I felt like I had something to contribute when my skills overall just weren't exactly great at the time. That made things so much more fun, and I wanted to play a lot more because of it. But I also realized that the better players would just block my smashes and they would stop lifting, so they totally took away that weapon for me. I realized I was a one-trick pony and I was relying far too much on that smash. And so I needed to find a better way to earn points, and it wasn't hitting a more powerful smash. I ran into some elbow issues around the same time and wanted to try some different rackets to see if that could help. So I was leaning towards the even balanced type of rackets, and I tried a few less head-heavy ones on the way down to those even balanced ones. The experience I remember the most vividly was, instantly my smash was far less powerful, far less useful, and I realized that my skills for smashing was terrible. It was all help from that super powerful racket. I began looking at other areas of the game where I lost a lot of points, like the serve, the return of serve, or defense, to see if I could win more points in those areas now that I was stuck without a really powerful smash anymore. To my surprise, I found other things much easier, like defense, and so I won a bunch of points on, say, not fumbling as much on shots towards my body, and other, less camera-worthy, less sexy moments than a smash, like just avoiding easy mistakes. And it had kind of a double effect, because at first I avoided more of those easy mistakes that would make me lose points or give free points to your opponent, but at the same time I would just win more of those simple points from my opponents making mistakes. So it had like a double effect in a way. And this is probably the one thing that improved my game the most overall. These small things added up to quite a meaningful difference. It meant longer rallies, more intense rallies, and overall winning more points, because where I might make, say, 10 easy mistakes in a game before, I might only make 3 mistakes now, and so I might not win all of those points, but even if you win 5 extra points, it'll take you from, say, 15 to 20 on the scoreboard, right? It kind of makes a big difference, and this is really the meat of the doubles game oftentimes. Now, lately I've begun experimenting with more powerful rackets again. I've noticed that the pro doubles players are amazing at generating power with head-light rackets, but of course it makes sense because they have such good technique. But then again, some of their opponents play with powerful rackets, but they also have good technique, so it's not like they're expecting to hammer their smash through their opponents at the pro level, so why do they choose that? I don't have the answer, but what I've noticed for myself is that the more powerful rackets, if we ignore the smash for a second, can help compensate for me being slower around the court. I can be a bit later to the shuttle and still send it back over the net. I don't need as big a swing because of that extra momentum and power from the racket itself. It also means that if they're pushing me to the rear corner, for example, and they begin camping towards the net, which is very common, I have a better chance being late to the shuttle of still playing to their rear court, even if my technique isn't as good, and even if I can't, train as much stamina and as much technique as I would want to, because I just can't dedicate all my time to practicing. I look at that as going full circle from power rackets to less powerful rackets to even balanced, slightly headlight rackets, now back to more powerful rackets again. And now at the mid-intermediate level that I'm playing at, it's not like I can hammer through my opponents with smashes. They're just too good. But it gives me all those other benefits and help compensate, especially as we get older and we can't really depend on being super fast and being super energetic all the time. Before we move on, check out the t-shirts, there's a link below. So back to the question, can badminton rackets really help improve your skills, or is it just marketing BS? Well, in my experience, all the materials, all the marketing details, like the Arc Saber's shuttle hold that can help with control and precision in your shots, hasn't really made that big of a difference for me at least. For me, maybe I'm too barbaric, but that stuff feels like the emperor's new clothes. But I get why they use it in the marketing, and if I was in their situation, I would probably do the same thing. But there's two other ways where I have felt like the rackets did help improve my game. One is figuring out which type, which category of racket can help with what kind of stuff, and then deliberately picking something that I wanted to improve in my game and using that specific type of racket as a tool to help improve that. For example, super powerful rackets might be one category, then you have less powerful rackets, even balanced, faster rackets, right? And switching away from a very powerful racket to change the habit of smashing too much. That would be one way where the badminton racket can be used as a tool to improve your skills. Another would be using a faster racket to help improve your defense, your stance, your anticipation, until you are fast enough to do that with a racket that isn't as fast. The second is, if you feel like you're having more fun, you're playing a better game, you'll be drawn back to the court more, and it'll probably help improve your skills at least a little bit, because you just get more time on court and more experience. Ultimately, to get the most out of your racket in terms of having it help improve your game, you have to be deliberate about using it for a specific thing, and then recognizing that that will also change over time. Once you're done practicing that thing, you might want to work on a different thing, and maybe you need a different racket for that. At least at the beginner, intermediate level, where we can basically improve anything in our game. When we get to the pro level or a higher level, it'll be more tricky to change the racket because we need to adapt our skills so much. Check out the t-shirts, I'll leave a link below, and I'll see you on court.